Give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. What are some examples of this? My dad started making me do my laundry in like middle school because of this. He didn't want me to get to college and not know how to wash my own clothes. He also taught me how to cook from a young age. Didn't always let me do the whole process. Young kids with things like sharp knives is not a good idea, but he would let me watch and explain what he was doing for the things that I wasn't allowed to do. And he would always give me small things to do, like scramble eggs, mix ingredients, stir occasionally, etc., and always had me read directions to him. He probably knew the directions most of the time, but it was his way of teaching me to read and follow directions. As I got older, I started doing more parts of the process, until I was cooking all by myself. Yeah, growing up my daughter helped with cooking and cleaning. Then, when she started middle school, she started doing her own laundry, doing dishes after dinner, and cleaning her bathroom herself. High school, she started choosing one meal a week to cook. She had to make the grocery list, shop for the stuff, while I was there, and cook it. She knew if she had questions or needed help, I was there. But she also knew I was teaching her the skills needed to be a functional adult. She was also involved in helping me budget to a degree from about middle school because I am single and wanted her to know why I would tell her something would need to wait a week or two. Now she's in her senior year and the last year of her tech program. She regularly runs errands for me to get the XP. Mom still cooks at least one night a week but also likes to meal prep for herself, and is running her own residential cleaning service because she finds it satisfying and relaxing. She budgets like nothing I have ever seen, has a massive savings and just took her first road trip, but anytime she needs help, like starting her first bank account and managing it or creating her itinerary and budget for her trip, I'm there to help. Sometimes she will ask a question that reminds me that a lot of what we do as adults is just routine to us, but kids don't know any of that unless you teach them. It's a parent's job to give them all the tools and skills possible for them to be a successful, functional adult and be there if they need help. The earlier you start, the better. When I was in basic training, I had to teach a damn near 30-year-old man how to do laundry, and then spent almost a full week getting the 40-plus straight outta high school kids how to clean things properly. It's crazy how little some people are expected to do around the house. I'd had chores since I was very little, and the moment I became physically able to do something it was tasked to me. My parents weren't unfair with the workload, but I was definitely expected to contribute. Kids don't do what you say. They do what you do. I have twin 3.5-year-old girls and they're more responsible around the house than their older teenage sister and mom. She'll leave a cup of water or plate on the table and the twins will pick it up, go find mom, and tell her she's being bad and can't leave dirty dishes out or we'll get bugs. They turn lights off in empty rooms. They see dirty clothes on the floor and they'll go put them in the hamper. They lock doors and close open cabinets. They see me do these things every day, and to them that's just normal behavior. Most of my instructions are telling them to stop doing things and let me do it because it's my job, like cleaning them after the bathroom or putting them in their car seats. Education jobs are fantastic career opportunities for men. Sure, if you enjoy having your life destroyed on a baseless accusation, because it happens, and it happens a lot. 2, 3, 4 men are fleeing the education sector, even up to the university level, because you cannot prove a negative. You cannot prove what you didn't do. The only thing you can do is prove a positive, what you did do. And short of implementing the pants rule, good luck with that. The only viable option to have what you did do set in stone, unquestionable and uncontestable, is to wear a wallet-sized body cam on your chest the entire time. And who the hell is going to trust a teacher who is justifiably paranoid enough to wear a body cam, when society as a whole automatically paints any man who wants to work with children as a suspected pedophile? Working with non-adults in any capacity whatsoever is not the job any man will want to entertain. Yeah, it just pisses me off that while there is some smart females at my firm, there's some that have absolutely zero idea how to design anything. I have to walk them through engineering that could be done by any high school grad. The guys though are all at the top of their game because they know they are expendable. It's like this all throughout the valley, so switching companies doesn't help much. Also, huge EEE bonus is you're an ethnicity that isn't white or sane. It really isn't fair how easy it is for ladies to get jobs here even if they may not be as qualified as their male counterparts. It really is okay. It'll work itself out in the end. Granted, it will take time for a company that properly and correctly employs meritocracy to supplant those who employ sexism and bigotry, but inertia takes time to change. Superior competitive advantage through hiring meritocracy is no different. Every company wants to look progressive, so while I acknowledge that it sucks for the men trying to get these same jobs, that's okay. Really, it is. Any company that prioritizes and places meritocracy and an ability to do the job at hand above ideology and doctrine will by default have a significant competitive advantage in the marketplace. Why? Because employees are a company's single most important resource, and any company that chooses the best possible candidate regardless of any accident of conception will have their choice of the best people looking for work. They aren't implementing arbitrary rules to filter applicants on attributes that have absolutely nothing to do with their ability to do that job. They aren't ignoring half the employment marketplace, and so are free to choose those exceptional applicants who have been disregarded at other companies due to bigoted and sexist policies. And this is the only truly gender-agnostic and egalitarian position to take. My message is equally as applicable to old boys clubs as it is to woke companies. Sexism and bigotry cuts both ways, and both directions damages society and the economy more as a whole than it helps. So if any company really wants to use bigotry and sexism as a core hiring process, I say let them. The free market can pick over their bones when they go bankrupt. And honestly, people, if any company is going to treat you like a second-class citizen when you approach them with hat in hand, for no other reason than your sex, what do you think things are going to be like inside that company after you're hired? I can guarantee you, it isn't going to get any better. Best to be thankful that they clearly advertised their bigotry and sexism up front, rather than after the fact. It depends entirely on what specialty you go into. There are administrators who spend their careers changing passwords and keeping email servers online, not a lot of stress there. On the other extreme are industrial cybersecurity jobs. If they mess up badly enough, people can end up injured or dead. I'd say most corporate jobs are somewhere in the middle. For the most part, IT people are underappreciated, and it makes sense. I don't call my electric company to say good job when I have lights, but I sure as hell call them if the power is out. Or education, childcare. Sure. If you enjoy having your life destroyed on a baseless accusation, because it happens, and it happens a lot. 2, 3, 4 men are fleeing the education sector, even up to the university level, because you cannot prove a negative. You cannot prove what you didn't do. The only thing you can do is prove a positive, what you did do. And short of implementing the pants rule, good luck with that. The only viable option to have what you did do set in stone, unquestionable and uncontestable, is to wear a wallet-sized body cam on your chest the entire time. And who the hell is going to trust a teacher who is justifiably paranoid enough to wear a body cam, when society as a whole automatically paints any man who wants to work with children as a suspected pedophile? Working with non-adults in any capacity whatsoever is not the job any risk-aware man will want to entertain. Probably depends a lot on the location and industry. I've experienced discrimination as a woman when applying for a job as a selection psychologist. Not sure how to translate it. I mean a psychologist who conducts assessments for job candidates, because they preferred a man. They wanted a well-balanced team or something like that. Anecdotally, I know from friends that men are desperately wanted in primary school education. I've also heard it's also a bit easier for male nurses, but not that much. The #1 required certification for U.S. Gov jobs is Security Plus. That will qualify you for many entry-level jobs from IT support up to cybersecurity specialist. ISO. CASP is the next decent step up with cybersecurity certifications. It is the bare minimum for some of the managerial cybersecurity job, and looks better on the resume than Security Plus. CISP is the next big step up. That is the key certification that is required for most managerial cybersecurity jobs, like ISSM. On top of those certifications, you need some experience. Security Plus with no IT experience might get you an entry-level cybersecurity job, but only if the employer is really desperate. If you have a security clearance, it is a huge benefit. They are only available to get by having a job that requires one, and only federal employees and contractors. It's a huge catch-22 that the contractors only want to hire people that have a clearance, and the only way to get one is to have a job that requires one. Recently separated veterans are their target group. Cybersecurity is the fastest growing portion of IT jobs, and are in high demand. I've been in the field for a couple of years, and get many emails/calls/texts randomly asking if I'd be interested in a job locally and worldwide. I got my master's in cybersecurity and then took the test for CISP. It's a bear of a test. I have to do 120 hours of continuing education in a 3-year cycle to keep it. If I ever miss my continuing education requirements and let it expire, I would need to retake the test. I promise that will never happen to me. Sorry, but I work in HR and we do not make the job descriptions. We only smooth out the language for uniformity. The department tells us what they need and they even fill out a form with all of the criteria they are looking for. We then look for similar jobs in our area and our line of work, higher ed. We find at least 3 matches and come back with the benchmark salary range. If the department objects, we go back to the drawing board. The department is even welcome to come back with benchmarks of their own, and as long as they're relevant matches, we factor that in. We never post anything that the department hasn't been involved with every step of the way. A major problem with IT jobs, and cyber in particular, is that the job descriptions are made by HR people, so they often ask for way more than is realistic. Any of the big 3, A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, will get your foot in the door for an entry-level job. Mid-level will generally want at least an associate and something like Pentest Plus or Cisco certs are always in demand, but you have to have hands-on knowledge for them. A book just won't get you there. Also keep in mind that the job experience is still a valid replacement for a degree for a lot of companies. Plus, what's the worst that can happen? They don't call you back. If you think you might qualify for a job, then apply for it. Fellow woman in IT, specifically cybersecurity, the above is right. While cybersecurity isn't necessarily a sexy job, there's a lot of paperwork involved with what I do. It certainly pays well. I'm in the defense sector, working classified stuff for the Air Force, and it pays well enough that I just bought my house by myself at the start of the year. Also, my company is willing to pay for further education and certification costs, so that's a huge bonus. This right here is how I got my associate degree. Now I make enough money to pay for me to take a class or two each semester for my bachelor, not the student loan inside. Edit. Looks like people are actually reading this. So for the ladies out there, if you have even a remote interest in working with computers, and don't know what career you want, go for a degree in IT. They can't get women fast enough. Every company wants to look progressive, so while I acknowledge that it sucks for the men trying to get these same jobs, I also highly encourage you to take advantage of an opportunity to get into a very well-paying and stable career path. Regardless of your gender, there are a ton of grants and scholarships out there, and once you land a job, many companies will pay for your certifications and even a more advanced degree. There are strings attached, which is why I pay for my own classes, but it's worth it for many, and there are a lot of empty slots in areas like networking and cybersecurity. Programming is sexy, but the network and cyber jobs aren't, so there are many more opportunities. Edit 2. I'm starting to get DMs about how to get started with this. Start with www.fafsa.gov. Fill out the forms as best you can. Unless you're rich or are still a dependent on someone's taxes, you will probably qualify for more aid than you think. Next, find a couple of schools in your area or online. Western Governors University is an excellent online school with IT programs, and they are affordable and very flexible, so I like them for people who already work full-time. Schools often offer in-house grants on a need or merit basis. If push comes to shove, most people will qualify for subsidized student loans, meaning you don't pay interest until you graduate. Having a $10,000 loan hanging over your head probably isn't fun, but it beats the hell out of plus $40K for a degree from an expensive 4-year school. Edit 3. This is getting a lot more attention than I'm used to, so I won't try to keep up with responses anymore, but there is some great information to be found here. Several people are commenting on certs specific to DoD jobs, and I'm learning some great stuff. The DoD seems to value different certs than what I've come across with public sector work. And for the guys out there, someone pointed out that skilled nurse and education jobs are fantastic career opportunities for men. I know nothing about what's needed to get into these fields, but someone out there does. In any event, good luck to everyone trying to get themselves a decent job. It's miserable out there, so take advantage of whatever you can. You don't have to be super passionate about your career to live a happy and fulfilling life, but you do need one that gets the bills paid. Edit 4. Thanks for all the awards. Final edit. There's a lot of overwhelming support. I wish I had time to reply to everyone, but alas, I have a life outside of Reddit. Also, phew. Some people coming out angry. That's okay. The world is a hard place. If you want it to be different, then do your part. As for me, I'm more concerned with taking care of my family than I am about holding some lofty ideals. Don't want women to get a leg up in IT jobs? Cool. You go on and create a society where women get exactly the same opportunities as men and don't have to listen to a bunch of boys talking about how silence is consent right while she's sitting in a classroom trying to get an education. While you are doing that, I'll keep on encouraging people to do whatever it takes to care for themselves, because someone else's ideals don't put clothes on my back, and I doubt they'll do much for the next person either. If you're a U.S. citizen, 25 or older, are unmarried, and make less than $30,000 a year, you can get a free, grant-funded ride through community college if you specify on the FAFSA that your parents will not be helping you. I used it to learn how to weld, but it can be applied to anything from IT to any other well-paying skill you can think of. Important edit. Also, someone fact-checked this, but I think you must be a full-time student to get full funding. I'm not sure about this at all. However, at the time I was a security guard, so I happened to have the free time for homework, online courses, etc. in addition to my in-person classes. Important edit too. Okay, so, I just learned the following from one Mr. Tweakers below. Go ahead and upvote him. Yes, you must be a full-time student to receive the entire Pell Grant. However, if you go half-time you get half of the Pell Grant. Also, you don't need to be 25 years old if A. you have a child, B. you are a veteran, C. you have ever been in foster care, or D. you have ever been declared a ward of the state. Also, you need not be a U.S. born citizen if you have a green card that qualifies you. And, specifically in California, if you are undocumented but have a taxpayer ID then you qualify. Edit. Also add this little secret. If you don't meet the qualifications for adulthood as specified but your parents are divorced, you are only required by law to include 1, count that, 1, parent's income. There are no laws stating which one you have to pick either, so pick the one that's not as well off. Lol. Yes, I really did quote an edit within an edit.